And we're live. Actually, just me. I'm just live today. Just want to do a Q&A just to get things rolling before tomorrow's stream. So, anybody in the chat, thanks for joining. And you guys can ask questions. I'll try to answer as many as I can here. So, we got a little different background going here. No green screen, but we'll have the other boys tomorrow for the draft. So, looking forward to that. Just looking for some questions. How excited am I? I'm super excited. My favorite day of the year, the NFL draft. Every team gets better through this weekend. Can't wait. Justin Miller, you did not miss anything. We just started. Who do you think is the biggest sleeper this year? I like Jermaine Pratt. Jermaine Pratt's from NC State. The linebacker's kind of my guy of the draft. I think he should be, talked about a little more. He's a, high motor linebacker. Used to be a free safety, and they moved him to linebacker. Doesn't really miss tackles. Tackling machine all over the place. He gets pressure on the quarterback as well, and I like him a lot. There's not really a lot of talk about him going second round. I wouldn't mind the pick late first. So if you're talking about a deep sleeper, man, there's a couple I like. Deep sleeper. I really like Greg Dortch from Wake Forest. He's not getting talked about enough. I guess that would be one. A lot of receivers down there. Maybe a late one. Anthony Ratliff Williams from North Carolina. What else we got here for questions? A.J. Brown or Marquis Brown? I actually had A.J. Brown at number 3 on my receivers when I did my receiver rankings, and Marquis Brown at 4. And then the rechecks happened for the combine, and Marquis Brown checked out, so I moved Marquis Brown to 3, A.J. Brown 4. Not much separating them. I really like both of them. You're going to miss our vids? Well, we got videos after the draft too, grades, winners, losers, all that kind of fun, like who won each division and who's the ultimate winner. And then we get on to the NFL, predicting the season, each team, record predictions, ranking players in the NFL, like predicting the rankings of players. So a lot to come still. Do I like O'Shane Ximines from Old Dominion? I do. I actually like him a lot. He didn't play against the best competition, but he was consistently bringing pressure, getting sacks. And the thing I look at is the forced fumbles. Pass rushers that consistently force fumbles over the years, just like they don't really go away. They don't go away at all. So I like O'Shane Ximines, second or third round, most likely early third. Sometimes he does look lost. It's weird. At times he's trying to read the offense, can't really do it, but he can work on that. A lot of questions coming in, so I apologize if I miss any. So I'm trying to get to all of these. We're going to be live for about an hour, hopefully, depending on the questions. And the chat just keeps moving, too. So let me get my mouse here. Do you think Detroit will go defense with the 8th pick? I'm starting to think Detroit trades back. I think they'll trade back unless somehow Devin White's there at 8. So if they stay at 8, I think it's for like Devin White. Maybe they won't be able to pass on a guy like Ed Oliver. Maybe they like T.J. Hawkinson, though, but if it's not Devin White, I think they are somebody crazy like that we're not expecting to be there, like Quinnen Williams or Josh Allen, which, again, we don't expect to be there. I think they trade back. If they stayed put, the guys I listed also throw Jonah Williams in there. But I think they trade back. Why don't I like Daniel Jones? The main thing for me is he throws the ball off balance a lot, and he's about to get sacked, and he'll just throw off his back foot in a panic and not really look who's open or not. That's like, I don't think that's something you can fix. That's the main thing that stands out to me. There's nothing to wow me at the same time, but there's little things that I don't know if you can fix. He's got arm talent. He's pretty athletic for his size. I think people get a little overhyped about that, but there's just some things that I just don't think you can fix going forward, but it's possible. I don't want anybody to throw him into a bad situation, but I definitely think he's going first round now. Do I think the Steelers will trade up? Yeah, that's tough because I think they would really like to have a guy like Devin Bush from Michigan, but they're gonna have to trade too far up. I think they'll sit put and take the best corner available. I think they'll like to have Greedy, but they could like Byron Murphy. there's not a lot to dislike about DeAndre Baker, but I've heard that Mike Tomlin's pretty high on Rock Ya-Sin, so we'll see if they reach a little bit for Rock Ya-Sin. He's been getting a lot of buzz. So yeah, Steelers are a team. I don't see them moving up, but it's always unpredictable who's going to trade up and down. That's what makes the draft so unpredictable, and that's why I love it. What else we got? I know I'm sorry if I missed them. Ask them again. I'm going to try to get to all these. The chat's going wild right now. I appreciate any of you just being here, though. Should the Packers trade 12 and 30 to get Quinnen Williams? That's interesting. That's a good question, actually, because Quinnen Williams is my top guy. He's definitely my top guy, and the Packers can compete with him, but they can compete without him, and they can get two players. I would, even though I really, really like Quinnen Williams, I would hang on to the 2 picks. I'd rather have 2 players that can help you win that Super Bowl. Who do I see the Vikings drafting? Most likely you would think an offensive lineman. I've actually very recently heard they're very high on Dalton Risner, but they don't want to draft him too high. So I don't know if they want to take Risner at 18. I'm starting to believe they like Chris Lindstrom from Boston College, but they don't want to draft those guys. They're fine with drafting those guys in the first round. They don't want to draft them at 18, but they're going to sit put, see if somehow Jonah Williams falls there. I doubt it happens. Obviously, Juwan Taylor is not going to be there. Cody Ford, if he's there, it's very possible they take him. But again, Dalton Risner, Chris Lindstrom, and even if they trade back even further, maybe a guy like Eric McCoy from Texas A&M. So they probably want to trade back and get one of those guys down there. Who are your favorite pass rushers, including D-tackle 3 technique? That's a good question. Well, my favorite pass rushers are, the obvious ones. Josh Allen's my number 1. Nick Bosa's my number 2. Montez Sweat, I really like Montez Sweat. I'm not too worried about the health concerns, the slight heart murmur, whatever he's got. I'm not too worried. They let him work out the combine. And then it's Brian Burns, who I also like a lot. Cleveland Farrell's solid, but in terms of 3 technique, I look at LJ and pass rush combined. You're combining 3 technique and pass rush guys. I like LJ Collier from TCU and Charles Omenihu from Texas. Very similar. I think they're both 3-4 ends on a 3-4 team, and then I think they can play 3 technique in the 4-3. We were just talking about the Vikings. Zimmer really likes his 3 technique guys, and he lost Sheldon Richardson, so he could be looking at those 2 guys in the second round. Who will get Devin White? It's a good question. I'm actually working on yet another mock draft for tomorrow. I don't know if you guys remember, I said I was going to do a trade scenarios video, put a bunch of trade scenarios in one video. I'm actually going to scratch that because I just did 2 mock drafts the last couple days with a bunch of trade scenarios, and I'm actually going to work on another mock draft with some more trade scenarios. So you put it all together, we got a lot of trade scenarios. I think people like the mocks better anyways, and it's constantly updated. I can update them by the hour. It's the beauty of the NFL draft. So Devin White, though, the question was, where does Devin White go? And what is that? We got a donation from Kenan Sinan. Always in here supporting us. Really appreciate you. He asks, chances Kyler Murray doesn't go 1. I'd say 70% chance he does go 1, so 30% chance. It's starting to get interesting because there's a group of people out there that really think it's Quinnen Williams or Bosa, and Quinnen Williams is my number 1 player, so I would think other people see what I see. So it's very interesting, but I really think Murray's got to be the guy. It was the talk most this time here. It's the only team he fits, but then it brings up, can they get him later? Can they trade back? So maybe they trade back, so that would say it's a good chance he's not the first pick, because then somebody else will be. It's very interesting, but I'd say 70% chance he's the pick, but. At this very time last year, I said Baker Mayfield's not going to be the first pick. No way. It's smoke. Even though I liked Baker Mayfield, I thought he was worthy of the first overall pick, and he was my number 1 quarterback. I thought no way. So, nobody knows really. So, we'll see. Quinnen Williams or Josh Allen to the Jets. Yeah, that's another tough one. I think because they re-signed guys in the D-line, they're confident about their D-line, and they didn't fill the holes at outside linebacker, and they tried to with Anthony Barr, but failed. I think for those reasons, it points towards Josh Allen, but again, Quinnen Williams has got to be the majority of team's number 1 overall player. So, yeah, somebody asked if I made my final mock. I thought I did, but I'm going to make another one tomorrow before the draft. I'm going to try to have it out earlier than my normal scheduling. Just constantly want to change things. 1 second you hear this team's trading up and interest in this guy. Some of it you believe, some of it you don't. And then you hear about Rashawn Gary getting hurt, Montez Sweat getting hurt. This guy's going to fall, this guy's going to come up. It's constantly changing my mind, and I might be hurting myself by, making more, but everyone enjoys it. We all enjoy talking about the possibilities. That's what mock drafts are for. No one really expects to be right. What do you think the Lions will pick? Lions, I think, will trade back unless there's somebody too good to pass there, like Devin White. If they sat put and maybe Devin White wasn't there, I'm looking at Jonah Williams or T.J. Hawkinson, but I think they can trade back, get a defensive player. We will see what I do in my mock draft. Will Dk Metcalf go top 20? I've been back and forth on that. Before making my mocks, I've been like, I think this guy's gonna go top 20. He's got the good size. He's crazy athletic. Like he's got, people compare him to Josh Gordon. There's a little bit of Julio Jones in there. He's not the route runner Julio Jones is. He's not Julio Jones, but there's a little bit in there that teams are gonna fall in love with. And he is overhyped a little bit, but teams are going to fall in love with that. So he's got to go earlier. But then I make my mock draft. He ends up falling. But the one I plan on, my final mock draft, I think I'll have him going earlier than 20. So inside the top 20. What do I think about Christian Miller from Alabama? I like Christian Miller. And I'm trying to think where I think he's going to go. I'm borderline second, third round. I'm kind of borderline there. I think he should go second. A lot of upside for him. He originally was an off-the-ball linebacker. They moved him to pass rush linebacker, so not a lot of experience there. And he was pretty darn good off the edge, stopping the run. Maybe a little undersized. Was hurt in the national championship game. They missed him big time. So I like Christian Miller. I like his upside a lot. Maybe not going to make a huge impact year one. I like his potential. Late 2, early 3. Thoughts on Cale Waring from San Diego State, Hollywood Brown to Seattle. I'd say it's possible Hollywood would go to Seattle. I think he'll go. They would probably have to trade up maybe. Yeah, right. I think I keep either linking him to the Titans or the Ravens. Titans or Ravens for Hollywood. Cale Waring from San Diego State, big guy. He can block. He can catch in traffic. He's gonna be liked. He's like I think he's a safe pick around round 5. I think he can even go as early as 4 or 5 range. I saw something. If I had the chance to pick for the Chargers, would you go offense or defense? Depends on who's on the board. I mean, if you're asking me what their biggest need is, I'd say D tackle, but it might actually be more important to get that right tackle. But is there going to be a right tackle worthy of that pick in the first round? Got to keep Phillip Rivers protected. You don't want him getting hurt. So, honestly, they don't have a bunch of needs really. It's just they need another D tackle, they need another right tackle, another corner. You really don't need that many picks, so you can trade up and go get a Cody Ford. That would be big time with the Chargers. I didn't really think of that until you made me think who I would take. That would be pretty good for the Chargers. Trade up and get Cody Ford. We'll see if they do that. I don't know if they may have to trade up a bit though. Somebody asked me thoughts on David Long from Michigan. I like David Long. I like him in the slot. I don't like him at outside. Well, I mean he can play outside corner. Like him in the slot. I think a team will draft him probably early 3rd round. He could go second, but I do like him in the slot a lot. Who do I think the Seahawks will draft first? Tough to say. We got to see who's on the board, but I think they're looking at pass rush, whether it's from end or D tackle. People get mad if I give him a D tackle, but if that guy can bring some pass rush, it's the same thing. I know they just got rid of Frank Clark, but you can't overdraft players. You can't do it. So pass rush, whether it's interior or exterior, corner, wild card to be receiver or offensive line. But their offensive line was solid last year. Do I think Burns or Taylor will fall to the Panthers? I think Burns will be there. Jawan Taylor will not be there. That'd be just a crazy value pick. Burns, and it'd be tempted to take Burns, but I just a feeling of mine is their priority is to keep Cam protected, get the rest of the offense line, which I understand. You can't have this guy keep getting hurt. He's your MVP quarterback. He can still win a Super Bowl if healthy. Thoughts on Justice Hill? Justice Hill, I loved his first few years at Oklahoma State. Insanely fast. Like he was 4.2 speed. Like he may have gave Chris Johnson a battle. And I really liked him, but he didn't have the size. He put on the size. Now he's like a 4.40 guy. Put on some size. Still a little bit undersized, but it's still crazy athletic. And then the combine, I kind of got hyped up on him, moved him up a little bit, went back and watched the tape. I still do like him. He's definitely a weapon. It's more the NFL. It's the NFL team's fault I moved him down because I want to like him, but I'm kind of hurting myself by putting him high because the teams aren't going to give him much of a chance. They're going to use him. He's a weapon, but they're not going to run him between the tackles a lot. He's going to get the ball a few times a game. They're going to throw him the ball a few times a game. He bounces everything outside. That's a weakness for him. He's, he did get hurt too. He kind of wants to bounce everything outside. They're not going to run him in between the tackles, but he's extremely talented. What size is my ceiling? I have no idea. No clue. Well, the picture's cut off, if that's what you're asking. It's in a box, so this is not. See, there's more up there. Off topic. My favorite free safety in this draft. I like Taylor Rapp at free safety. Some people like him at strong. Some people like him in the box. I like Taylor Rapp at free safety. I think he's a true free safety to me. He can do a whole bunch of stuff. I think he's clear number one safety. I think he can do so much. If we're talking interceptions, people overhype who gets the most interceptions. That's the best defensive back, which is not true. I look at Nasir Adderley and Juan Thornhill possibly, but Taylor Rapp's my favorite safety. I think he sticks at free safety. Depends on who drafts him. Do the Giants draft a QB in round one? I believe so. I think it's Dwayne Haskins or Daniel Jones, and I talked about it'd be crazy if it was Drew Lock, so we haven't heard anything about Drew Lock for them, and I can see it. I think they take a quarterback, though. What are your top corners after the top three, and how big of a gap is it? Huge gap after pretty much Baker and Byron Murphy. They're messing with my head. Hard to split them up. The fact that Baker lets up no touchdowns gives him the edge, but hard to split up. Greedy's my number one. After three, it's a huge gap. I've actually swapped at one point. I had Julian Love from Notre Dame at 4, Jawan Williams at 5. I swapped that. Jawan Williams, tons of upside with his size. He's very good in coverage and zone. He recognizes routes and where the quarterback's playing it. So I like him. One of my favorite players in the draft is Sean Bunting from Central Michigan, a guy I think should be a second-round pick, maybe a third. He's got it all, everything. Just played weaker competition. So I do like Sean Bunting a lot. I can't wait to see who drafts him. Giants do take quarterback round 1, I think. Arcega-Whiteside, possible second rounder for the Panthers? I think so. I think early third's more like it. People are starting to hype him up a lot. I understand why. But there's some things he needs to work on. A little more separation. Sometimes he gets too focused in his craft, from the line of scrimmage off the ball. He gets a little too focused. He chops his feet quite a bit. And you can fix that. You can definitely fix that. So, it wouldn't shock me if he went early second, but I think early third's more like it. Who's better, Daniel Jones or Drew Lock? It's not even close. Drew Lock's better. Don't sleep on Jamel Dean. Yeah, Dean would be easily a second-round corner, but he had 3 different knee injuries, so I don't know where he's going to go. I don't know where I'm comfortable mid-rounds. So, yeah, it's tough. The chat's going crazy. I'm missing questions like crazy, so, again, I apologize. Who are the Packers taking? It's hard to say. I got to see who's on the board for them, but I've been sticking T.J. Hawkinson there, right there at their first pick at 12. I'm starting to think he could be gone. Apparently I'm hearing the Raiders are screwing up the draft. It's the Raiders, the Giants, and the Redskins that are screwing up the mock drafts. Those are the 3 teams. But to answer your questions, I'm starting to think Hawkinson's not there. Maybe they get Devin Bush to pair with Martinez and Chris Lindstrom. I like for them. Maybe Noah Fant there later. We have to move up a little bit of spots. But to go back and explain why those teams are ruining the draft, the Raiders. It's all I'm hearing is, 1 second you're hearing the Raiders are going to go quarterback. I'm not believing that. But then you also think they're going to go Quinn Williams or Josh Allen. But then you hear stuff about Devin White. And then you're seeing the Giants want to make sure that the Redskins don't get ahead of them by trading to 5. The Giants want to move to 4. Raiders don't want to move back to 15. So the Raiders will move back to 6 with the Giants. So then, which quarterback did the Giants take? That shakes everything up. And the Raiders at 6, do they get Devin White if he's there? I heard they really, really like T.J. Hawkinson, and then I heard they really, really like Brian Burns. It's the Redskins, the Raiders are messing everything up, and the Redskins trying to trade up. The thing for the Redskins is, I think the only team that's willing to move back to 15 maybe is the Buccaneers. And the Buccaneers are going to wait it out, obviously, and the Redskins want to wait it out anyways. But the Buccaneers will wait it out because, they want to see who's on the board, obviously. And the Redskins don't want to trade that now, and then the Giants jump them and take their quarterback. So I think the Giants actually will. I think the Giants will make sure the Redskins don't get their quarterback there, and the Redskins could end up trading up with a team like the Lions or the Bills. So those teams are really really jacking everything up in terms of predictions. Somebody asked something about a bust. I'm missing a lot. I see a lot of good ones and I forget because I see another one. I saw thoughts on Max Crosby. I like Max Crosby a lot. He'll get drafted in day 3 because earliest round 4, latest round 6, so quite a big range. Possibly 5. But Max Crosby is real good. He's really athletic. He played, the reason he's going to drop because he's undersized. He's a little lighter. He played a defensive end role. He's going to be asked to play outside linebacker in 3-4. Usually the heavier guys are the 4-3 ends. But Max Crosby consistently gets sacks, consistently gets forced fumbles. You know what I say about the guys that consistently get forced fumbles. He actually had a back-to-back game in 2017. Back-to-back weeks, he got 3 sacks in both those games. 3 sacks each in both those games and 1 forced fumble in both those games. That just wows me. So he's pretty talented. Calvin Harmon probably has the best body control in this receiver group. Excellent on the sideline, body control, contested catch, great hands. The problem is, not super athletic, not shifty. You never see this guy run inside the numbers. So I do like Calvin. There's a lot to like. He's real good on the sideline. That body control is unreal. And I'd say second best hand or top 3 hands in the draft. The top 3 hands I'm looking at are Calvin Harmon, N'Keal Harry, and Miles Boykin. And Miles Boykin's getting a lot of buzz too. That guy's been impressive this offseason. How many QBs? Top 5. Top 5. You have 3. Murray to the Cardinals, Haskins to the Skins, Locke to the Raiders. I'm going to go 2. I think the Giants make it so the Redskins can't trade up. I think the Giants, they still could. But I think 2. I think Murray and Haskins. I like Locke, though, and I can see somebody else liking it. And the NFL does have the best offseason by far, yes. Could Ed Oliver fall to the Packers? I wouldn't say 0%, but it's unlikely. Who's your best bet on being a bust in this year's draft? Man, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's tough. The first one that pops in my head, which I like his potential a lot, is Rashawn Gary, but he has the injury too, so that's why I say that. There's an injury, not too significant. People want to say Dk Metcalf. If he is, it's because of the injury. So those guys pop in my head. It's easy to say the quarterbacks. It's easy to say Daniel Jones. That's probably the easiest one to say. A lot of good questions coming in. I'm sorry if I miss them. Ask them again. The chat's moving, so I can't see them all at once. I want to answer all of them. Who's the best for wide receiver 3 for the Vikings? I saw they like Jalen Hurd from Baylor. That would be interesting if they get him. I can't really pick one out. Depends on which round they're going to be thinking about getting one. I've done an A+ job on all this. I appreciate it, Crapface. I like the name too. Deontay Thompson would be a good fit for Devin McCourty replacement. Yeah, I think it'd be pretty solid. I think that would be pretty solid. If they can get him in the second round. Very rangy safety, like McCourty. Thoughts on Tristan Hill? Tristan Hill's got a lot of upside. Didn't have a ton of production. They played him at nose and D tackle. Moved him around a lot. And he had all of his production from the gap, pretty much. He played most of his snaps in the nose. His production came from the gap, but they're continuing to put him in the nose. So in NFL, I think a 4-3 team puts him in the gap. Yeah, I think he's going to be better. So, he had little bit of character concerns, not getting in trouble off the field, but not agreeing with coaches, not getting along. Not a huge deal. Who would you take first, Nasir Adderley or Juan Thornhill? 2 different safeties. It depends on which team it is, what they need. But who's higher on my board? I like Juan Thornhill. He does everything. Crazy athletic. I'm not, like I mention all the time, I'm not a huge fan on comparisons. I think everyone's pretty much unique. But he's got a pretty good one in Byron Jones from the Cowboys out of UConn. Does Frank Clark jump off sides in the playoffs? It pulls a D Ford? We'll see. Hot take, though, or just a kind of a take I had. I don't know if D Ford was offsides like everyone thinks. If you go back and look at that, the line of scrimmage line, which is obviously only on our TV, is where the ball was, and the ball was actually not there. It wasn't lined up on that. So, I mean, it was kind of blocked off. You couldn't see, but he actually might, first glance looks like he's way offsides. I kind of questioned that at the time, so it was interesting. Who would be a great quarterback if he went to the Miami Dolphins? The best quarterback for the Dolphins in this drafts, who would it be? I think Drew Lock, maybe. I don't know if it'll be great, but probably Drew Lock. Best fit for slot receiver for the Lions. Andy Isabella, I like if you're trying to go day 2. Possibly McCole Hardman day 2 from Georgia. If you're going middle of day or early day 3, we'll say Greg Dortch from Wake Forest. If you're going a little later day 3, how about Penny Hart from Georgia State? They can definitely pick up Penny Hart later. I can see that. What other questions we got? Skipping through this by accident. It's sliding down. Jordan Ta'amu to the Lions. I wouldn't draft him. He's very inaccurate, but he has a very good arm strength, obviously. But all those receivers, Ole Miss just couldn't get it done. What else we got here? Thing keeps moving every time I'm trying to read something. Do you see the Seahawks trading down? I can actually see them trading down again. I would look out for, they would hang on to 21. With 29, I would actually look out for the Patriots. The Patriots might want to move up a little bit. Depends on who's there. If Noah Fant's somehow down there, they might want to hop the Packers right there and take them. So I would look out for that pick right there. Most underrated player in the draft. I like Jermaine Pratt from NC State. Sean Bunting I talked about. Taylor Rapp's become underrated. Greg Dortch is more of a day 3 guy. Stanley Morgan Jr. is a good one too. Stanley Morgan Jr. should be a second-round receiver from Nebraska. Very safe pick. Very safe pick. He's good. He really can do. Michael Thomas from the Saints. He's kind of like him, I think. Thoughts on Akeem Butler? I kind of cooled down Akeem Butler. There's a lot to like on Akeem Butler because you don't see a guy like that every day. And I still like him, but he did have a lot of drops. He'll drop the ball on easy plays and just make a spectacular catch. Still can definitely help a team. Early second, I'd say. Where does Jawan Taylor go? I'm kind of stuck on the Jags for him. I would not rule out the Buccaneers. I think they'll go best player available, which could be Jawan Taylor. But Devin White, somebody like that, maybe Quinnen Williams is there. But I'm kind of stuck on that Jaguar spot because they need a right tackle. Their rest of the line's solid if healthy. They need a right tackle. Got Nick Foles. He won a Super Bowl with maybe the best offensive line in football 2 years ago, and I think I don't know what just popped up there, but I think that'll be key. So I'm stuck on that. Will Pigskin be at the draft? He will be late. He will be late to the draft, about midway through that first round. But the other guys will be here. What else we got here? I seen Vikings question. My Vikings here. Where is it at? We think the Vikings pick a quarterback, tight end, receiver. Who do you think the Vikings pick up? A quarterback? That's a weird question. I think they pick up. What positions do you think I pick? Obviously, they're going to pick. Do I think they will pick? I think offensive line, defensive line. Probably will grab another corner in there. A third receiver, a second running back. They need a second running back. I almost forgot about that. They need a Latavius Murray replacement. They tried to get C.J. Anderson, and the Lions scooped him up. So definitely look out for a second running back. I know they like Ozigbo, possibly on day 3 at some time. Where does Hawkinson go? It's another good one. I was kind of having him, I was stuck on him with the Packers, but I think, really the Jags and the Lions can take him. The Bills can take him. I think I'm looking for the Raiders to either move down with their 4th pick and take him, or they take best player available with that and they move up with their 24th pick. They're going to have to come up a lot, but they have the ammo to do it. So I'm looking at the Raiders right now, even though they're not sitting in the right spot for Hawkinson. So I guess it's a wild card team, but I'm feeling it. And I do see the Falcons trading up in round 1. I kind of have a feeling about that. They're going to see who's on the board. But if Kyler Murray doesn't go 1, Quinnen Williams will go 1, and that means Ed Oliver will go earlier. That means Christian Wilkins will go earlier. That means Dexter Lawrence will go earlier. Those defensive linemen. So they'll have to trade up higher then. So I guess unlikely, but maybe has a chance to go for Christian Wilkins. But I think the way it sits, maybe they're looking to trade up for a guy like Ed Oliver. So I think the Falcons definitely can trade up, and it's a team I continue to have trading up my mocks. Did I scroll up? Where do I think Josh Jacobs goes? I continue to give him to the Raiders, but if the Raiders start trading and possibly trade away their second rounder, maybe not. Maybe they don't end up there, but I just don't know where else. Does anybody else need a running back that badly? Like that? Are they that desperate for a running back? Like, hey, here's the team. If Josh Jacobs starts to slide a little bit and the Raiders aren't trying to get him, the Chicago Bears are a team to watch out for. They have a load of picks next year. Their first pick this year is until the third round. They have a load of picks next year. They can use some of those and their third to move up in the second and take a guy like Josh Jacobs. That's something to look out for. Something I'm actually just thinking of now. Do I think Tampa could take Ed Oliver at 5? I wouldn't. Yeah, I would say that it's a possibility. But not saying all these guys will be there, but Devin White, Josh Allen, Quinnen Williams, those three guys got to be higher on their board. You would think that at least one of those guys has to be there. Mainly looking at Devin White possibly. So I think they would take White over Oliver, but you never know. I think they definitely can take Oliver. Who are the Seahawks taking the 2 picks? I'm thinking pass rush, interior D-line, or corner. Byron Murphy I feel like is a good fit for them, probably with the later one. But it's tough to say. Got to see who's on the board for that. King Moses says, keep making good content. I really enjoy your channel. Really appreciate it. And we're going to keep going. Even after the draft, we got winners, losers for the draft, and we're starting to predict the NFL season with rankings and record predictions. So, yeah, still more to come. Really appreciate the comments. Yeah, the Eagles do need to get offensive line. The Eagles need offensive line and more offensive line. They got to keep it fresh. Any chance if Oliver slides to the Vikings move? Oh, if he slides, do the Vikings move up to get him? I'd say, man, he would be appealing to them, but they don't want to. Their goal is to have 10 draft picks in a draft, and they still got to do some work to get there. Not saying they're like 100% have to get 10 picks, but it seems like a goal every year, and it seems like most of the time they do it. So trading up kind of hurts that, and they have a pretty decent amount of needs, not like glaring needs besides offensive line, but I don't think they trade up, but he would definitely be appealing to them. Where I like Christian Wilkins to the Colts, I would like it. I don't think he's going to be there though, but I would like it. While we're live during the draft, I'm going to say, how much I like this pick. It's a great pick. Talk about value at the end of day one during the live stream. I'm going to say my 3 best single best picks, and then we're also going to have videos grading and winners and losers. So we'll kind of break that down. If a team takes this, do I like it? How much do I like it? Break all that down. That's why we're doing it. How much longer to the draft? Yeah, I know. I can't wait. These rumors are unreal. I'm starting to believe some. It's just crazy. We'll see, though. What else we got? Could the Panthers take Donald Savage Jr. in round 2 if he's there? Yeah, I heard they actually had interest in him. It's tough to say. The Panthers have quite a bit of needs. They need offensive line, not just one guy. They need multiple offensive linemen. They need another receiver. They lost Funchess, and DJ Moore is kind of just their guy right now. I mean, they have other guys, but, is Curtis Samuel really, he's struggled a little bit to figure it out. So they need receivers. They need safeties. They need pass rush. I forgot about pass rush. They need it bad. The Panthers, they could take Savage, but it's hard to say, what would they value more? That's what it comes down to. Will we have where'd it go? Will your live have the draft screen or just you guys talking about the picks? Still trying to work that out. We were contacting our YouTube partner, and they were supposed to get back to us on the copyright rules on that. So I'm making a decision tomorrow. So if we can show it, I will, but I don't think we can. So the audio will definitely. I'm gonna get at least. This is that worst case scenario. I get the audio to come through. We possibly can move the camera around to face the screen at time too, but I want to see our reactions. But we're really gonna be. We want to get Goodell's voice in there announcing the pick, and then we are gonna really break down the picks and predict each pick. So we'll at least get the audio in there. I'll probably set up a microphone right by our TV. I just got a new TV for for us to watch the draft here. So we're going to figure it out, and I know you'll enjoy it, and I'll get my takes on all the picks. We got the other guys here, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Should the Dolphins... Where'd it go? The thing moves. Should the Dolphins trade back and draft Jeffrey Simmons and more picks for next year? I'd like that. I'd like that. The Dolphins are a tricky one too. They're kind of messing up mock drafts too, because they can trade up or they can trade higher or lower in the draft to take quarterback, or to, like you said, take Jeffrey Simmons, Dexter Lawrence, Cleveland Farrell, and get picks. I like that idea of yours. Do you think the Giants will take Devin White? I think they take quarterback with their first pick, but there's 2 players minus, because we think if they stay put at 6, I'm not counting guys like Quinn Williams, Josh Allen, because we think they'll be gone. We think Devin White and Jawan Taylor could be there. Those are 2 guys that the Giants, I think, will strongly consider other than Court. They made up their mind, but those are 2 guys they'll really, really like, because they need a right tackle, and Devin White is a Dave Gettleman guy. That's a Dave Gettleman guy, but they need a quarterback. Maybe they stick with Eli. There's no way they think they can get Daniel Jones at 17. I think I would even take him at 17, but they don't think they can get him there, and I don't think they would be able to either. Andy Isabella or Hollywood Brown of the Packers. I'd say if you're telling me they're ending up with one of those guys, I would actually say Andy Isabella, because I don't know if the Packers draft the receiver in round 1. That's tough though, because if Hollywood's sitting there at 30 somehow, they have to. They're gonna take him, but I don't think he is. If the Chargers have a choice to grab one of these wideouts in the second round, which do you see more likely happening? Marquis Brown, Deebo Samuel. You're crazy. Marquis Brown's not going to be there. Is that what you asked me? Grab one of these wideouts in the second round. Okay, Marquis Brown's not going to be in their second round, so let's just get rid of that. Deebo Samuel or Terry McLaurin? Deebo Samuel all day. Easy. I like Terry McLaurin, but Deebo Samuel is much better. 2 guarantees. I believe Miami won't trade up and draft. I don't think they will, but it's still like in the back of my mind. Let's see. Will the Raiders? Yeah, will they go defense or I see what you're saying there. Tight end, running back. That's a team that's just messing up my draft because I don't know what they're gonna do. I was thinking defense all along. I'd say if they were to focus on one, I think most likely we'll see a mixture. No, I'm going to say defense. I'm going to say maybe 2 out of 3 picks are defense. The other one is tight end or the running back. I don't know if they go both tight end and running back. If they do, it's Hawkinson and Josh Jacobs, but they're going to have to trade up for Hawkinson with their second pick. Maybe they take him with their first pick. The Raiders are the team that's just messing with my head right now. Which cornerback is the best fit for the Falcons? Greedy fits every team, and I'm sure they would like to have, they wouldn't pass on Byron Murphy. They're not going to take these guys at pick 14, maybe Greedy. But if somehow they ended up in the second round, it's not going to happen. But Byron Murphy or DeAndre Baker, they wouldn't pass on him. But after that, Rocky Sin, I think, fits. I would also... it's tough. I also think they'll like Julian Love from Notre Dame. One of those guys there. Thoughts on Amani Hooker? Yeah, he's kind of getting overlooked because there's so many players at his style, very similar. They're a little bit better, but because he kind of was a box slot player. Very impressive though. Good instincts. I think he can go second round, but probably early third. Have you considered Broncos taking N'Keal Harry? It's an interesting fit, I think. Yeah, I did a mock draft with them taking, it was a month or 2 ago, maybe 2 months ago, 3 maybe even, I don't even remember. I had them taking Dk Metcalf because I was thinking, they favor the deep ball a lot, and N'Keal Harry can fit too. They favored the deep ball a lot, and they got Joe Flacco, so maybe my thinking at the time was they're gonna roll with Joe Flacco, and then they're gonna help that deep ball out. You got Cortland Sutton on one side, DK Metcalf or N'Keal Harry on the other side, and then you got your slot guys. You got a couple of them, and that's just helps out the deep ball game so much. So I think it's still a possibility. I think they'll like DK Metcalf a little more. I don't know if they would take N'Keal Harry up there. Maybe they can trade back. We'll see. That'll be interesting. The Cortland Sutton, believe it or not, was my number 1 receiver last year. I know he wasn't the best rookie receiver, not far off in his moments. They should have used him more. They should have thrown the ball more. But he was my number 1 receiver, and I still believe that And then N'Keal Harry's my number 1 receiver this year, so it'll be interesting to end up with both those guys. I don't think N'Keal Harry gets past the first pick in the second round, though, which is the Cardinals. He was saying N'Keal Harry said he's not getting by that point, so I think they gave him a guarantee, which teams don't always hold true to those guarantee. Will Greer's pro day, Will Greer's pro day was good. He still has to work on his accuracy and really decision making. Sometimes he'll just kind of go for the home run all the time, and sometimes it looks real good. I think somebody might take him second round because he's a quarterback, but I'd feel more comfortable third round. Should the Broncos draft a QB? It's tough. That's tough. The only one I would want them to draft would be Drew Lock if he's sitting there. Depends on who else is there. If there's somebody else like ridiculous, like somehow if Devin White's there, you take Devin White, but I don't think he's going to be there. Will DK Metcalf be a bust? And I've said it before, I'll say it again. I don't think if Metcalf's a bust, it's because he's injured. That's the only reason he's going to be a bust. He's going to be a good player if he's healthy. Do I think Polite falls as far as people are saying? I'm not really sure what people are saying. I'm assuming like early to mid second. I think he can be there. I think he'll be there. I don't think he'll go like third round or anything. I don't know if anybody's saying that. Browns trade up for Jeffrey Simmons. That would be a pretty good pair with Sheldon Richardson, actually, when he's healthy. I actually like that duo. And I've heard they actually wanted to trade up again after they trade back, and Dorsey's not going to be able to help him. So I can see that. I think players will kind of fall to them, though. Early second they can trade up to, maybe for like a Jerry. No, I was going to say Jerry Tillery, but I don't think he would fit with Sheldon Richardson. I think Jeffrey Simmons would. Better, but they'd have to trade up into the first round. Some old Darrell Henderson. It's kind of cut off. I think what round? I think early third for Darrell Henderson. Could go second. Yeah, as a Raiders fan, I'm really wondering what the surprise they have is. Yeah, I was someone on Twitter a little bit ago that I'm hearing they're really high on T.J. Hawkinson, and that really could be the surprise. It can't be a quarterback. It could be Devin White over Quinnen Williams or Josh Allen, but that's not that much of a surprise. A little bit. T.J. Hawkinson I've been hearing to the Raiders, so that could be the surprise. What pick do you think Wilkins last to? Yeah, I had him following my latest mock, but that's something that I already updating. I'm hearing he's going to go much earlier than everyone thinks. I like him a lot. He's a top 10 player for me. I think, I heard the latest he goes is pick 14, so I'll kind of stick to that. It really depends. It starts with Kyler Murray. If Quinnen Williams is the first pick, the D tackles are going to slide up, so Christian Wilkins is going to slide up. Let's say Kyler Murray goes first. What if it's Quinnen Williams and then Ed Oliver does go 3 like the rumors are saying? Again, the D tackles will slide up. But if it goes to plan, everything goes to my plan at least. I think he'll be around those teens. Like I said, 14, around that range. I think he'll go. He will not. Christian Wilkins will not get past the Tennessee Titans, in my opinion. What team should draft a CB cornerback? A lot of teams. The Texans, the Chiefs, definitely the Chiefs, the Seahawks. The Vikings won't be able to help themselves at some point. The Steelers, almost forgot the Steelers. The Patriots need depth. They don't really need a starter. The Giants need one pretty bad. The Giants and the Jets need one pretty bad. The Raiders, there's a lot of teams that need them. You can go all day with that probably. You never can have enough corners. Thoughts on Chase Winovich? Would you rather have him or Gary? I'd rather have Gary. They're two different players. Gary's going to be a 4-3 end. Chase, I know they play on the same team, but Winovich is going to be a 3-4 outside linebacker. I'd rather have Gary, though. Winovich, late second for me. He might go earlier. The problem with him is he has, like, weird strength. Like, you don't see it by looking at him, but he has it, and he kind of threw guys around that are much bigger than him. But, I hate to doubt the man, and I'm not doubting him, but it's just kind of a question. Can he do that against NFL offensive linemen? He's got good technique and everything. He's quick, instinctive, but there's a little bit of question there. Should the Seahawks get a receiver, one of their first picks, because Doug Baldwin? Yeah, if I was I really like these receivers, so I'm confident there'll be a really good receiver that I would like. So I would say, yeah, they should, but do they? It's another question. I don't know if they do, but I would definitely, any of those top 4 receivers are definitely, multiple would be there. I would do it. That's for sure. Get Russell Wilson some more help. if the Packers get Devin Bush and Marquis Brown and make the Super Bowl, if they get Devin Bush and Marquis Brown, I'm not going to tell you who's making the Super Bowl yet because I really don't know. It's something I got to look, break down after the draft. But if they get Devin Bush, Marquis Brown, that's looking good. There's a little bit of a messy situation going on, I guess, with the locker room and what Rodgers. That's kind of sticking with me too. Not saying they have no shot, but I want that to get cleared up. But if they have a draft like that, oh yeah, they're back in contention. That's for sure. Zach Allen for the Raiders in the second round. What do you think about that? Oh, I have a take on Zach Allen, who I liked during the year. But my take, I think second round's too early to answer that. He does fit the Raiders, but second round's too early. For me, Zach Allen is built the way he's built, and the lack of athleticism to me means 3-4 defensive end. Body type somewhat similar to J.J. Watt, but to play 3-4 end, you got to be pretty damn strong. He is not strong enough. He kind of gets pushed around, bullied around by those stronger offensive linemen a lot. So he can't, unless he somehow gains a bunch of strength, that'll make him slower and less athletic. He can't play 3-4 end. So he's got to play 4-3 end. Is he athletic enough? I don't think he'll be able to be on the field at every down. So I'm not a huge fan of Zach Allen, honestly. And people talk about production. He had production, but I don't think he has had as much as everyone thinks. So I think you'd have to put on size to play 3-4 end is my take on that. Who will the Bills draft? Man, I think they would like. I think they would. They definitely like Ed Oliver if he's somehow there. I don't think he'll be there. There's a possibility. Jonah Williams, I think, is a good possibility. I think they can trade down. The Bills could trade down, and if Jonah Williams, obviously Ed Oliver, Jonah Williams not there, they can trade down and target. Trade down a little bit, not too far. Montez Sweat, Brian Burns, Rashawn Gary. I listed 3 guys there. I would pick Montez Sweat if he checks out okay. They liked all 3 of those guys, though, from what I've known. And look at the other offensive linemen, possibly Cody Ford, maybe one of those interior defensive linemen. There's a lot of options. Receiver, I wouldn't rule out Dk Metcalf. They were rumored high on him right after the combine. That kind of quieted down once we entered smoke season. See if that comes back. Thoughts on Anthony Nelson? You just heard me explain my thoughts on Zach Allen. Pretty much the same thing. He has size, not as much weight. He's a little more athletic. I think he'll be a 4-3 end. I'm not super high on him. I think people are higher on him than me. I think he can be solid. He's definitely a good player. Solid rotation 4-3 end is what I think of him. He can go. I've heard anywhere from rounds 3 to 5. I feel more comfortable around that 5 range. For the Giants, would a Josh Rosen trade be a good idea? Do you think he would just be scrolled down by itself? I think he would just be a body to put at their QB. Depends on what they're trading for him. I 100% would rather trade for him than draft Daniel Jones in the first round. If it was up to me on like them staying put and taking Drew Lock, I would rather have Drew Lock. I'd take Dwayne Haskins. Josh Rosen I was higher on than these guys. I was higher on him as a prospect than these guys, but it's a weird feeling him already being in the NFL and getting traded. Like, I know it's going to boost his confidence, but it's just I want to get my own guy and grow my own guy. But if it's Daniel Jones, definitely Josh Rosen. The Chargers, is a good idea for them to trade for Rosen. It keeps scrolling up. The draft. I personally like Drew Lock. Well, yeah, Drew Lock's better. I'd rather have Drew Lock than any of those all day. They could trade for Rosen, but I would say if I were them, no. But because I want to, it's a contending team. You don't have a lot of needs. Just fill those few needs. We'll go win the Super Bowl. That's my thought on the Chargers. Is there a delay? I believe I actually have a delay on right now because if you have a slight delay, it'll have the replay picture will be a little better. But for the draft, I'm gonna make it as live as I can make it because it's the draft. So not too worried about the replay. I would like for people to watch the replay, and they can, but I'm just more worried about the live action. I saw something about a Xavier Rhodes trade. I'd be shocked if they traded Rhodes. They weren't happy with him coming in and out of games, but I'd be shocked. I still think Trey Waynes is an option to be traded because the Vikings are still tight on the cap and they need to free some space to make their picks. To sign these guys so they can make the picks and they got to sign them. So Trey Waynes could be traded. From what I've heard, I think they want a second rounder. Teams don't want to give that up, or they kind of want to wait and see which corners are there. So it could end up being a third rounder if they absolutely have to do it. Who do you think going fall to 5, and if so, where'd it go? Who they pick? The Bucks at 5. If Quinnen Williams falls there, they got to take him, and I think it's a realistic possibility as long as Kyler Murray goes 1, because if he didn't, it'd probably be Quinnen Williams. It's got to be Quinnen Williams or Devin White. The Redskins want to trade up. The Buccaneers would be willing to do it, but they're going to wait and see who's there, and I think somebody too good to pass will be there. Who I think the Panthers will pick, I think it's offensive line. I know they like Greg Little a lot, but that's a little too early. I just keep kind of linking them to Andre Dillard from Washington State. They got to keep Cam protected. Daniel Jones at 6. I can see it. I'm leaning towards Dwayne Haskins still, though. I would like, not a huge difference, but I would like Locke a little more for the Giants, but I think it's Haskins. What player do I think the Ravens are going to draft? It's got to be a receiver. I mean, it has to be Marquis Brown or A.J. Brown. It's got to be one of those two. I think Kyler Murray, Dwayne Haskins, Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, Tyree Jackson's your rankings. You're too low on Drew Lock. He's definitely better than Daniel Jones. Tyree Jackson, I like his potential, but I mean that's a little high. I really like Jarrett Stidham's the potential guy. He's got the upside. Finley's pretty, Pigskin Pete, he's on the channel too. He loves Ryan Finley, so Ryan Finley's pretty good. I think a safe pick in round 3 probably. Do I think N'Keal Harry can go to the Cardinals and get him in the second round? I think they can get him with the first pick in the second round. He said he's not getting by that point, so I think they guaranteed him that pick if he's there. That happens a lot. If they really, really want him, they're going to have to trade up a little bit. But even though they could still get him at their pick, but if they really wanted to play it safe, I think they'll have to do that. But that'd be fun if they got Kyler and N'Keal Harry or A.J. Brown. Depends on the team, but Harry's my number 1 receiver. Really like this receiver group, though, a lot. N'Keal Harry could fall out of the first. Yes, it's possible. Not really. It's not a hit at him. It's not a jab at him from these teams. It's just people reaching for quarterbacks pushes really good, like the top tier talent back, like the defensive guys we've been talking about. And that just pushes everyone else back. Every year we're in the late first. We're like, how is this guy on the board? We're in the second round. How is this guy on the board? He was a first rounder. We're in the 5th round. How is this guy on the board? It happens every year, and it's because the overdrafting of needs, quarterbacks, and trades push guys back. It surprises every year, and I understand why, but it happens every year. So we just figure out who's going to be there. What position do you think the Rams need to address most? Offensive line. Particularly, they need to replace Saffold at guard. But at the same time, Whitworth doesn't have long. He doesn't have long. So Goff can't have a moment that he's just constantly getting hit. We need to make sure this is good for the future. They got to be saying. So there's a lot in this draft. There's a lot of tackles that can play guard. I would recommend a guy like that. Down there, I'm looking at Dalton Reisner if he's there, but he could be gone. Cody Ford would be. Well, Cody Ford's more of a right guy. They need more of the left. I mean, not that he can't play it. I know they like Caleb McGarry. That's a little early. I know they like Eric McCoy for guard. I think Dalton Reisner's a guy they'll like, but will he be there? Who's the most overhyped player in this year's draft? Even though I like Dk Metcalf, he's probably him because that's all you saw during the combine, and for months, it's all you saw was Dk Metcalf's face, and I understand why, and I liked him. I still do like him, but it's just the constant hype. But now it's kind of died down, and I kind of do like him, so I guess it's not really overhyped. I'm just trying to think. For teams, from what we heard, it's Daniel Jones probably. He's not a first-round pick to me. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's one I like him a lot. He's a playmaker. There's a lot of hype with him for some reason in the first round. Or it's like just not people around the league. It's kind of just fans. I think they overhype him a little bit. Maybe around the league, Jonathan Abram, another safety. He's not really a true safety. I like him a lot. He's a player. He comes up and hits people. He can cover man, press man. But you don't know the exact position for him. Dillard could be another one. Some big time experts really like him. I like him too. But here's the thing about he's a risky pick. It's a boom or bust pick, and nobody talks about that. And I'll tell you why. It's because a couple reasons. he didn't play against the best competition, like pass rush competition in the Pac-12. But the biggest reason is because you ever watch that Washington State offense? It's like a one-step drop and throw to the running back, James Williams, I don't know how many times. So he didn't have to block for long. He had to block the top-tier talent and not for long. Everything looks right, though. His athleticism, the way he moves, and his workouts. People speak highly of him, but there's some risks that people really aren't talking about. Greedy Williams to me fits any defense. Yeah, I think Greedy Williams plays all coverages. He's not stuck in one scheme at LSU. So I think he fits anything. So the Seahawks would be good. Dk Thompson overrated. He was getting talked about first round, and then he got pushed back. Now I actually think he's underrated because some people like him in the third round now. I think he's a second round pick. He is super rangy in the pass game. He can go from sideline to sideline. Needs help in the run game. He makes the tackles on the sideline. That's good. And that's what you need out of your free safety. So I do like Dk Thompson. I think he's actually got to the point where he's underrated. So yeah. If you're the Chargers GM, do you move up to take the interior D lineman? What team are you trading with, and who are you moving up for? Or just staying put? Yeah, it's tough because it depends on who is there. If a guy like Dexter Lawrence starts to fall, the Seahawks maybe want to trade back around that range. Maybe the Titans, they could get some more picks, but somebody might be too good to pass for the Titans there. The Vikings might want to trade back. But you got to go up a lot, but it's okay because you don't have that many needs. So a guy like Dexter Lawrence, I like Dexter Lawrence a lot. I'm higher on him than everybody. Elite run stuffer already, has the abilities to be, to get after the quarterback. Most underrated draft prospect, kind of talked about this already. I like Jermaine Pratt from NC State. I like Stanley Morgan Jr., Greg Dortch, Tavon Coney, Travion Williams, a couple running backs, Darren Hall, Alexander Madison. I got quite a few of them. Taylor Rapp's become underrated. I think those are my main guys that I like there. I had a video on that. It was my favorite prospects video not too long ago. Thoughts on Drew Tranquill? Drew Tranquill, he's really good. He's really good. The reason to me he'd be a lock second round pick, probably early second, but he constantly was getting hurt. He tore his ACL back when he played safety, which is great. He played safety, moved to linebacker. And he constantly getting hurt. The good thing is he's very tough. Like, he'll play through the injury, but they still don't like him constantly getting hurt. How long is he going to last in the NFL? Because this isn't, Notre Dame's schedule anymore. This is the NFL. But he can cover. He's instinctive. It wouldn't be a long shot if he was a late first-round pick if it wasn't for the injuries, but I think he goes early third. He's very talented. He's the total package linebacker. It's just the injuries. What do I see the Redskins doing? They they're going for a quarterback. I'm saying it could be smoke on the specific quarterbacks and where maybe specifically they're going to trade up to. That could be smoke, but I think it's clear they're going to get a quarterback, and it could be three. It could be three different ones. It could be Drew Lock, Dwayne Haskins, who's probably getting the most hype for them, or Daniel Jones. What I've heard is the front office and the owner, they're all split. They're all in different directions. Not good. But it also could be fake too. But I think they'll take a quarterback. It's just which one. The Redskins are jacking everything up right now. Jalen Ferguson's going to be gone in round 2, so he won't be there in round 4. Thoughts on Blake Cashman? Blake Cashman right there with Tranquill. Similar traits. I think Tranquill's better, but he has the injury. So Cashman actually I think is one spot. Cashman's my number 6 linebacker. Tranquill's my number 7, and Tranquill would probably be 3. Maybe 4, 3 or 4 if it wasn't for the injuries. But again, he's tough. He plays through it, but how long is he going to last? Cowboys can go safety at 58. We got to see how the rest of the draft plays out. After day 1, I'll do a mock draft. On day 2, earlier day 2, so Friday, I'll do a mock draft. So we'll be able to tell, if I think they'll go that. But I think they can. Who's going to be there? That's the question. Darnell Savage, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Dk Thompson. Yeah, I think one of those 3 guys they'll be able to get, hopefully. Do you think Kyler could slide or someone trades up for him? I think he goes 1, but if he does not go 1, the Cardinals could try to make moves to come back up, or it's because they traded down from 1, or maybe the Dolphins or the Bengals are possibilities, but would they trade up for him? I can see the Dolphins. That's the only way I see the Dolphins trading up if Kyler Murray is there. Raquel Armstead, very, very underrated. Here's the thing with Armstead. I love his vision and quickness. That's the first thing I see. I look for running backs. Can they? Somebody asked me about Tyler Johnson. I love Tyler Johnson. I'll get to him in a second. But Armstead hits the hole quick. Vision's great. I love that. I can't count how many times this guy ran into tackles. And he'll go away from the lane to the end zone, and he won't lower his shoulder. He has the strength too. Kind of turn his back a lot to tackles. I hate that, so I'm not super high on him. But somebody mentioned about, and it's next year's draft. But Tyler Johnson from Minnesota, I thought he would come out this year. I like him a lot. I think he's a first round receiver. It's way too early to tell. I think he's a first round receiver. Second round is possible too. I don't think he'll get out of the second, but it's way too early. But I do like him, so I did want to talk about that. Any concerns Ferguson or Polite's 40 times? Well, Polite was hurt. He's much faster on tape. Ferguson's also faster on tape. Ferguson concerns me a little more, though, because Polite was hurt. Tore his hamstring while running the 40, or pulled his hamstring while running the 40, so I'm not too worried. Polite's tape's real good pass rushing. It's just, character concerns, but not in trouble off the field. It's within the, locker room and the coaching staff. So it dropped in the second round. Late round sleeper receivers, super late. We talk about Penny Hart a little bit. Anthony Ratliff Williams from North Carolina. Man, there's so many of them. I just can't even point out some. It depends on who's gonna be there. I don't know if the receivers might get pushed down. Is Jazz Ferguson gonna be a late round guy? That's a darn good one. Who's a real good late one? There's more I just can't think of them right now. But top 3 receivers, it depends on the team. It really depends on the team and the fit. But top 3 receivers in general, I'm a big N'Keal Harry fan. And N'Keal Harry, it's hard to say top 3. I want to give you my top 4 because they're so tight. N'Keal Harry, Dk Metcalf, and then Marquis Brown and AJ Brown. Very, very tight. Metcalf has the injury concern, but so much upside, so much, you don't see guys like that all the time. But N'Keal Harry, to me, he does it all. And he really does it all. And you look at the past, who was bust and who was not. The guys that were bust had crazy strengths here with these, these traits, but they had big weaknesses here, And the guys that were the safe picks did everything. To me, N'Keal Harry does everything. DK Metcalf has bust potential because he had injuries. His weaknesses are he had injuries, doesn't run inside the numbers a lot. So to me, N'Keal Harry does everything. He has everything. To me, he's not really lacking anything. Yeah, you wish you get more separation, but it's not bad at all. What round and team do you see Penny Hart going to? We talked about Penny Hart a little bit. I think the Lions a pretty good fit. 6th or 7th round. He's probably better than that, but you got to think of the long list of receivers in this draft, and the receivers are apparently getting pushed back from the first round. So I think I'm reading another comment, that's why I'm laughing. But so these guys will fall down there. So Penny Hart, Lions. There's so many teams I can pick, but for some reason the Lions come to my mind, so we'll stick with that. Anthony Calorie says, "Is this guy bald?" And no, I'm not bald. There's hair. There's hair right here. Hope Redskins get Greer in the 3rd. What do you think they do? I think they go quarterback in the 1st. I think they do it. I know some Redskins fans don't like it, and they want to believe it's smoke. I think a lot of it is smoke, or some of it is smoke. The specifics are smoke, but I still think they'll take a quarterback. Where will AJ Dillon end up? That's next year. I think he's overhyped. I think he's a little overrated. I thought he was much better his freshman year and last year. I need to see another year from him. Etienne, the running back from Clemson's a guy I'm really looking forward to. Jimmy Moreland, 4th round sleeper. I think he can go a little later, but he's always been a playmaker his whole career, so yeah, he's pretty good. Rocky Sin or Greedy? I like Greedy better than Rocky Sin. David Long to the Packers replace Rashad Breeland. I can see it because they like Jair and Josh Jackson outside, so I can see it. Will Benny Snell and Bryce Love be drafted? I'd say both of them will be. Bryce Love, honestly, I would not. He'd be a top 3 running back if healthy, but he's constantly hurt, constantly coming out of games. Benny Snell, I worry about his long speed, but he's got the vision. He's smart. He can break tackles. I think somebody should definitely draft him. I said this would go for an hour, but I'm still going here. I'm going to answer these questions. Will any Nebraska players be drafted? Oh, yeah. Stanley Morgan Jr. to me is a second-round pick, one of my favorite sleepers in the draft, but maybe he'll go a little later in second. Divine Ozigbo, the running back, will go 5th or 6th, possibly. How old am I? I'm 27. What will the Jets do at 3? It's a great question. I'm thinking Josh Allen right now because they kind of filled the holes, extended some guys' contracts in other spots. They tried to get Anthony Barr but failed, and he kind of left that open hole right there. They even got the middle linebacker, C.J. Mosley, left that open hole right for Josh Allen. I think it makes a lot of sense. Might be tough to pass on Quinnen Williams at the same time. Do I think a QB will fall to the Giants 17? I don't think so. I actually think maybe they would, but I don't think the Giants want to play, want to risk it. I think they take their quarterback at 6 or trade up. Okay, it's either the Giants trade up from 6, take a quarterback. They trade up to picks 3 or 4. I'm thinking 4 right now. Or they stay at 6, take quarterback. Or they do neither of those, but they take 17 and they trade up around that 8, 9, 10 range, take quarterback. I don't think they're taking a quarterback at 17 unless the media has been blowing smoke about Daniel Jones and teams kind of see what we see, and he's not, and everyone knows he's not going that early, and the Giants know they can get him at 17, I guess, but I'm not seeing it from what I'm hearing. Chris Lindstrom and Eric McCoy and Garrett Bradbury. I like Lindstrom and McCoy, but no, Bradbury's a machine, and you can play in multiple positions, as you can with a guy like Eric McCoy. I don't think Ed Oliver will drop the Packers. I won't say 0% chance, but I don't think he'll drop there. Do you like the Jaguars picking T.J. Hockenson? I do. Could be the Ertz for Nick Foles, but I also think they need a right tackle. A guy like Jawan Taylor might be the safer pick, even though Hockenson's a safe pick in terms of his potential and talent. Not going to be a bust, but safer pick in terms of protecting their quarterback. I don't know if Little Jordan Humphrey gets drafted, maybe 7. What receiver would you compare most to Michael Thomas? I like Stanley Morgan Jr. as a Michael Thomas. Body type, Calvin Harmon, mixed with Stanley Morgan Jr., but play type, Stanley Morgan Jr. from Nebraska. Could you see Ed Oliver being a Packers? No, I already answered that. I say no, but not 0%. Do you think T.J. Hockenson, good pick for the Lions? Solid pick. They need a tight end like that. Depends on who's on the board, but yeah, it would be a good pick. Who do I think the Broncos get at 10? If Drew Lock isn't there, and somehow Devin White's there, they take Devin White. Don't think so. If Drew Lock and Devin Bush are there, if things get interesting, I think they'll take Drew Lock. But somebody could trade up for him. Devin Bush there, possibility. But I also think they can trade back. The Broncos have an opportunity to trade back there. Any chance the Falcons trade up for 3 for Quinn, if up to 3 if Quinnen Williams falls? I can see that. I think first they'll consider trading up that high to see if they can get Quinnen Williams. They got to wait and see if he falls. Maybe not 3. I wouldn't rule out 3, but maybe if he's there, 4 or 5. Will the Buccaneers want to trade with the rival? That's a question. I think they'll try to trade it there. But then if not, they're going to work at Oliver and Christian Wilkins around that 8-9 range. They'll work. I think the Falcons would trade up. I really believe that. Could be wrong. It's impossible to predict that stuff, but I'm feeling it. Who do you think your favorite team will choose with their pick? With the 18th pick, I think the Vikings will take... Man, I said Dalton Risner and Chris Lindstrom are guys to look out for, but that's if they trade back, and I can see them trading back. But if they held on to 18 and Cody Ford's there, I'm thinking Cody Ford. I think it's realistic. Can I see N'Keal Harry as a Green Bay Packer? I don't know if I can see that. He'd be very good on the Packers, and I would love the pick. I just don't know if I see it. Colin Johnson for next year. I like Colin Johnson. I'd say second round, though. It's too early to tell, but I'd say second round. Deontay Johnson, receiver from Toledo. I like him. Poor man Stephon Diggs. That's a pretty good comparison, too. And I think he... Round 4, I'd say. Got to remember how deep this receiver class is. I think round 4, I do like him. If it was round 3, I'd be fine. Could you see the Bears drafting a safety? I can see it because Clinton Dix is a free agent after this year. It's only a 1-year deal. I think they're going to look at running back. They need corner depth. They need pass rush depth. We know how important that is. Danny Trevathan's a free agent next year. Could use a middle linebacker. Safety Safety, they got to find the right one. Well, Vic Fangio's gone, actually, so I was going to say they got to find one that fits because they kind of had an interchangeable safety last year with thing going where there's no free or strong. So, yeah, they could go safety. Missed something that I liked. Which could be his biggest bust potential. It's Daniel Jones. I mean, he has Kyler Murray, too, because some of the stuff he got away with, will he get away with in the NFL? I like Kyler Murray, but who is the best deep passer in the class? Drew Lock. Should the Lions trade with the Falcons draft Greedy Williams? Yeah, I had that in my last mock. Not saying they should 100% do that. I think it'd be good, and they can do that. Who do you think the Redskins are getting in a second round? I would think receiver. So maybe Deebo Samuel can fall to them there. I think that would be a very good pick. Don't think Paris Campbell falls there. Best fit receiver for the Ravens. I think I'm looking at Marquis Brown and AJ Brown. You know the Ravens want to run. They do. They run RPO, quick rollout. You know, Lamar Jackson, really good rollout. It's all quick. It's all real quick. So you want the guys that get the separation the fastest and have experience playing slot outside, doing out routes really quick, also being home run hitters. It just sounds like I explained Marquise Brown and AJ Brown, so that I think those are the best fits. They've done a lot of homework on guys like Dk Metcalf and Akeem Butler, which is interesting. Yeah, thoughts on Miles Sanders? I'm actually not as high on Miles Sanders as everyone else. You know, when he makes his big plays, when he's good, like he hits the hole good, everything, it checks out. It's real good. He had 5 fumbles last year, and that concerning to me. His one year he started, the whole year he fumbled 5 times. You think about the NFL. Think about your team last year. Have your running back fumbling 5 times, 5 different games. That could be 5 losses. It really could be, like 2 or 3 at least. So it's, I'm not scratching him off my board or anything, you know, 3rd or 4th round for me, but it's a little concerning. I have a favorite team. It's the Minnesota Vikings. Unfortunately, never won a Super Bowl, but I love covering every team. I say this every year too. During the draft, I feel like I'm a fan of every team. You know, I get pumped from, like, you know, the Bears, Packers, Lions are in my division. They're rivals. I get pumped. I find myself getting pumped for those teams when they have really good picks and drafts because it's just, you know, I love this time of year. Every team gets better and, you know, can see their potential and can see, you know, they build a championship teams with the draft. So my thoughts on Preston Williams, very good production, very good career, former Tennessee transfer. You know, he's a little disappointing in his pro day, a little, you know, less effective than we thought, but he's pretty good. Off the field issues, it's tough to say where he'll go. Probably because the off the field issues and the other receiver talent will probably go late, rounds 5 or 6. You know, probably could have been talent-wise, could have been a 2nd or a 3rd. I can see Brian Burns playing outside linebacker who drops into coverage a decent amount. Yes, he didn't do a whole lot of dropping coverage at Florida State, but you kind of can see, you know, it's kind of just a. It's not a 100% thing. It's kind of just, you know, my take, and I think other people's take. You kind of can see he has the ability to do it, you know. So I would like that very much. I would like that very much for him. Comparison players for Drew Lock, either Andrew Luck or Aaron Rodgers. The way he moves sometimes, I can see Rodgers, but yeah, nowhere near like the talent or anything. I don't really have a comparison. I'm not a huge comparison guy. Most guys are their own guy. If I see a comparison stand out, then I really like it, then I'll mention it. Thoughts on Jalen Hurd from Baylor/Tennessee? Yeah, the former Tennessee running back started over Alvin Kamara. Pretty wild. He's a pretty good running back too. But I like him a lot. You know, I think 4th round guy probably. Could be 3rd. Didn't really work out. Was sat out because of injury, and you know him leaving Tennessee. You know that's a little concerning. You know, love for the game. I mean, he came back and played, but I like him at receiver because the limited time he's able to get production, run pretty good routes, play in slot, play outside. I like him. So yeah. What else we got here? What position do I think the Titans need to address? They need another defensive lineman. They need another pass rusher. I know they signed Cameron Wake, but he's kind of aging. Well, how much does he have left? He can still be very, very solid. But again, they did lose Arakpo and David Morgan, and they got Harold Landry, who I really liked, Harold Landry. But they need another guy out there, and they need another offensive lineman. I think a starting guard this year could use a center of the future. Receiver too. They everything I just named, I think they need. pretty equally too. There's nothing that like stands out, so they can do any of that with their first round pick, which I like. First receiver off the board. I'm back and forth on Marquis Brown versus DK Metcalf. I was kind of leaning towards Marquis Brown the last few days. Now I'm back to DK Metcalf, and I think there's got to be a team. All it takes is one, and I think there'll be more than one that are just blown away by the freak that he is. I think that'll happen. It's bound to happen. 32 NFL teams. I think so. Redskins don't get a QB in round one. They will get Brian Burns or Montez Sweat. Yeah, I think it's a possibility. I think Brian Burns fits a little better. Could go offensive line. I like their offensive line, but it's constantly hurt. So, yeah. Something along those lines. Jets trade back and take Burns. I can see that as well. He fits. I can definitely see that. Hard to pass on Josh Allen, though, if he's sitting there. But Burns is a fit. I can see that. Thoughts on Anton Wesley from the wide receiver from Texas Tech. I like him. It's just, strength is an issue. Doesn't have crazy speed. He's real skinny. I don't really have a problem with it. I think teams will. Very good at, he did pretty well against Isaiah Johnson, the cornerback from Houston. He's supposed to go third round probably. So he's definitely underrated, not talked about enough just because he's, kind of skinny and didn't run the 40 and not crazy fast. I think fourth round for him. The Lions trade back. What's more likely, the Falcons or the Redskins? I say the Falcons because the Redskins, they're both pretty even, but I'd say the Falcons. The Redskins want to go up a little higher, but we'll see. I'd say the Falcons. I think the Broncos take in the second round. Depends on what they do in the first round. I don't know. It's tough. Could go offensive line, could go middle linebacker. If they don't take a quarterback in the first, could be quarterback, could be receiver. It could be. He's got to see how it plays out. Inside linebacker or corner for Pittsburgh. Most likely corner because the 2 first-round linebackers will be gone, in Devin White and Devin Bush, so most likely corner. Greedy Williams there. That's a grade A. Do I think Juan Thornhill falls to the Browns pick 49? I think it's possible, yeah, and that'd be a very good pick. If they really love him, they'll trade up to get him and make sure they secure him. I think it's a good fit. I like Thornhill. Probably should go earlier than that, but I think he could be there, yeah. Who is the perfect safety for the Packers? Well, perfect safety, the best possible safety for the Packers. To me, it depends on what they want to do with Adrian Amos because he can play strong or free safety. The Bears played kind of an interchangeable safety with Vic Fangio. Amos, I actually like better at strong. Even though I heard he could play free, I would get Taylor Rapp. Taylor Rapp's my number one safety. He can play either safety spots. I'd put him at free next to Amos. I like that a lot. Could you see Cody Ford and Jonah Williams playing just tackle? I could see it. I can definitely see it. But I say out of those two, for sure one of them will probably be forced by the team to play guard, which really isn't a problem. But they both probably should play tackle. Depends on the team. Who does the Giants get in pick 17? Thinking it's a pass rusher and offensive lineman. It's unless they didn't go with the quarterback pick 6, they're going to trade up with 17 and take the quarterback. Khari Willis from Michigan State. He's kind of grown over me the past few months. Not super high on him though. 5th round, 6th round maybe. Ed Oliver won't be there for the Vikings. Jeffrey Simmons definitely a possibility. They may not be able to pass on a guy like that. Best group of 5 prospects, or just best 5 prospects you're asking me. I'm going to release my position. I'm going to have a spreadsheet with all my position rankings on one page with, they're ranked by position. They're on one page with the round, I think, my round grade next to them. And I'm also going to release my big board tomorrow. So we'll see that tomorrow. Follow our Twitter. I'll post it, make a post on YouTube too. I'll give you guys the links. Both of those, you're going to need those for the draft. It's very interesting to look at during the draft. Could Allen drop out of the top 5? I think it's possible. I'd say no, though. Wyatt Ray, good mid-round sleeper. I'd say most likely he's about to go. He's probably going to go later, but yeah, he is a good sleeper. Vegas odds of Kyler Murray being 1 dropped. That's very interesting. Yeah, things are getting crazy with that. If he doesn't go 1, it's going to be nuts. I kind of want it to happen. I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong here, and I'm not even kidding about that. I want madness. Thoughts Thoughts on Chase Winovich? I talked about him a little earlier. You know, I like Winovich. You know, looking at him, you don't think he's as strong as he is. You know, he bullied people around that were way bigger than him. Can he do that at the NFL level? That's a question I ask myself, not downing him, but can he do it? But late second round for me, maybe early third even. You are amazing, and where are you from? I'm from Chicago, outside Chicago here. Appreciate the nice comment there. Newer to the channel, love your stuff. Who's your favorite team? My favorite team is the Vikings. I also have 3 other guys on the channel with me. 1 is a Titans fan, and 2 are Bears fans. So yeah, from Chicago, I'm a Vikings fan. Pretty rough over here. Not too bad though. You know, what else we got? 2 is the most underrated prospect. Kind of talked about this a lot. I got a list of them. I have a video. My favorite prospects for the draft. You know, it's not. It's very recent. You know, Jermaine Pratt, a guy from NC State. Tavon Coney, another linebacker, and then Stanley Morgan Jr., Greg Dortch, Taylor Rapp, N'Keal Harry. Those are my favorite guys. So along with some more, check out the video. Lions at 8. I think they can trade back. Kind of talking about that. I think they can trade back a little bit. Titus Howard just replied to me on Twitter. I posted something on Titus Howard, the offensive lineman from Alabama State, from the Senior Bowl that I had. I posted a long time ago, too. Pretty cool. Very cool. Titus Howard, Alabama State. He's getting some buzz about late first round. I think he still goes second, but I think it's very early. You know, talk about Titus Howard a little bit. What I really like about him is he moved from right tackle to left tackle and improved. When do you see that? You know, it's so impressive. And he's very quick for his size with strength. I like him a lot. LJ Scott, worth a shot for the team this year. I think undrafted. You know, worth a shot. You know, definitely undrafted. So, I don't know if it's worth the draft pick, though. But he has some upside. Besides receiver, who do the Ravens need to pick up? It's good that you mentioned that, too, because I actually there's a news channel / radio station in they're actually based in Delaware. It's like WDel. I don't know how they pronounce it, but they contact me to do like a segment for them on the Ravens and Eagles. And so I already did that, and it's supposed to be live tomorrow morning. They're going to give me more information. They're going to send a file my way too. So definitely something to be on the lookout for. I basically gave them extra. You guys are going to get extra draft content for the Ravens and the Eagles team needs and who I have them picking in 7 rounds. So it was a lot of fun. I really appreciate those guys for giving me that opportunity to do it. So I guess their listeners are big Ravens and Eagles fans. They're Delaware, New Jersey, Baltimore, Philadelphia based place there. So very interesting. So, but other than receiver, I talk about it in the segment a little bit. Then they need another lineman, in particular left guard, and multiple receivers. They lost C.J. Mosley, but they had very good depth. They could use another inside linebacker. They need more pass rushers. They're not like desperate for things besides receiver, but the things I'm naming that they could use. Max Crosby's a sleeper. He's very good. Yeah, I like Crosby. Talked about him a little earlier in this stream. I like his, consistency. Production isn't the most important thing, but it's very important, and he's consistent with it. Bosa or Williams with the Niners pick. Quinnen Williams is my number 1 player, but I think it's going to be Bosa, and I understand Bosa, and I have no problem with that. So, yeah, we'll go Bosa there. Thoughts on Cordero Patterson of the Bears? Are NFC North teams screwed, or are we all right? Yeah, I like Cordero Patterson. Crazy athletes. He's got really good vision, too. He could be a running back, could be a receiver. I think he's the best kickoff returner in football. That's a good pickup for Matt Nagy and the Bears. It's nothing to panic about for the other teams. They're not NFC North teams. They're not screwed. That's a good pickup, though. I like it a lot. Atlanta Falcons interested in Titus Howard, 2nd round. I like it. Good. Thought I heard that too. So, I'm looking early second. I'm looking at they may have to trade up a little bit. I'm looking at the Bucks, the Giants, the Bills, the Jags, teams like that, the Cardinals, teams like that. Do the Bears draft a kicker with news about Robbie Gould? I don't know if they trade for Robbie Gould because they signed 3 kickers. Yeah, you can easily move along, get out of here. But I don't know if they really want to do that. They did get a 3-year deal for the AAF guys, so I don't know if at this point, because they knew it was kind of a sense that Gould can be had, possibly. He could want to move on even after getting franchise tagged. So the Bears had to know that in the back of their mind, and they still went out and got these kickers. They're doing their homework on draft kickers. Let's get to the draft. If they draft a kicker, they're not getting Gould, But your question is kind of going against your question. Do they draft a kicker knowing they were out? I don't know if they draft one. I think they try their luck in undrafted, get a guy there, have them try out with the guys they have. I don't know if the Gould trade happens. I'm not ruling it out, but I don't know if it happens. David Long. I like David Long, second or third round pick. Very good in the slot. I like him in the slot. Didn't give up much. David Long out of West Virginia to the Vikings. I don't know if linebackers as big of a need as people think for the Vikings because they got Barr back. The Vikings start in a base 4-3. They could get better in Ben Gideon's spot. Ben Gideon, pretty solid for a young guy, but you can get better there. So I guess David Long could. I don't know if he's better. I'd rather have Gideon probably right away, but with potential. But you have to think too. The Vikings, Ben Gideon doesn't play most of the game. He starts. He does not play most of the game. They play extra DB. Zimmer, what his DB is. They play an extra DB, whether it's a safety. Brought in Curse a lot last year, but most of the time a corner, a guy like Mackenzie Alexander, and obviously they have Mike Hughes too. So they play more of the 4-2 most of the game, which I like. They do it well. Zimmer's a genius in terms of defense. So I don't know if they need a linebacker as much as people think. They also have Eric Wilson's very impressive. I thought he should have got drafted. They got him undrafted. Kentrell Brothers, very solid special teamer, good backup. And they drafted Devontae Downs last year. And they were pretty high on Downs. He was kind of coming off an injury when they drafted him. Otherwise, he would have went higher. So it's just time to come around. And they got undrafted Hercules Mataafa from Washington State, who I thought was a hell of a pickup undrafted. So they actually might be fine at that linebacker. Never know with them, though. Zimmer's always looking for new types of guys. Could the Cardinals trade their 1 overall pick? They could. I think they could trade back and still get Kyler Murray. They should think about that. They should definitely. If I was in there, I'd do that. I would want them to do that. Let's see if it happens. Maybe it does. I think there's a chance. I think they want Kyler Murray. Let's see if they trade back a little bit. Maybe they're scared of the Raiders, but yeah. I guess you can't go back too far, but we'll see. Free agency. What is the Steelers' biggest need? I'd say inside linebacker, corner. Inside linebacker, corner are pretty much at the top. Then you got safety. And then you got edge because Bud Dupree hasn't been that, living up to the hype, but was okay last year. Anybody's going to be a free agent mainly, that's why. And they actually could use a right tackle. Don't sleep on that. They could definitely use another right tackle. How do you think the Giants will do in this draft? They have 12 picks. I think they should do good. Anybody with 12 picks should do good. I sure hope so. We'll evaluate it after the fact, see what I think. Jets, Bosa. What do you think the Jets take if Bosa and Murray are gone? Quinnen Williams is the number one player, but I think they go Josh Allen. The guys, they signed. They kind of kept a hole open there and missed on Anthony Barr, so it tells me Josh Allen. How concerning is Devin Bush being a little undersized? Not concerning. I was never big on guys being undersized. I had Russell Wilson as a first round quarterback, as other people did too. And he went where he went, and it's just it's never been a problem for me. If it shows, I hate to single a guy out. Local guy for me too is Sutton Smith from NIU. He's a production machine. He was a beast, and I still believe in him. But then there was a concern being undersized, and I'm kind of waving that off. But he gets to the Senior Bowl, and he really got bullied around at the Senior Bowl. It showed big time that he was undersized. So when it shows like that, it's a little concerning, yeah. But I still believe in those guys. It's Devin Bush. It don't show to me. He's good. He's real good. Aaron Rodgers is way better than Tom Brady. I don't know. Maybe he has more overall skill, but Brady's got the rings, so I give the edge to Brady there. But maybe they flip teams, be a different story. Packers had some pretty good teams though. Devin White does not fall to 12. Which receiver draft? Receivers. We talked about the receiver best fit the Ravens. Marquis Brown and AJ Brown. Lamar Jackson, that offense, it's quick RPO. He's very good on a quick rollout, throw out, and the out route. Even throw deep. So which guy is going to get the separation the quickest? Good on the out routes. Also home run hitters downfield. Marquis Brown, A.J. Brown. Mainly Marquis Brown, really. I think he's the number one there. How do I rank Jerry Tillery? Big board, he's in the low 30s, right around that 32 mark. I'm going to have my big board and position rankings come out tomorrow. Link will be here on YouTube somewhere and on our Twitter. He just had surgery, so a little bit of a hit. He'll be good to go. Just needs to stay more consistent, but I do like Jerry Tillery in a good defensive line class. Do you think Christian Wilkins benefited from Dexter Lawrence? Not sure. He's a top 32 player. They're both easily top 32 players to me. They're both dominant. They helped each other, but I mean that's what happens in the NFL. You look at other guys help each other. They're both. I have them both top 10 on my board. I really like those guys. I don't like that Christian Wilkins is gonna be 24, but it's not a huge deal. It's not like he's some guys come along and they're 27 and I don't have them in the first round because of that. But I like those guys a lot. A few more questions here before I wrap it up. And so we got 80 plus viewers in here. What else we got? I'm losing my voice talking too much. That's not good. Need to do our live stream during the draft tomorrow. Could you see Clelin Ferrell as a Green Bay Packer? No, because I think he's strictly a 4-3 end. Packers run a 3-4. I think he's strictly a 4-3 end. Teams will always try that, though. I can see a 3-4 team trying to get him, but he fits much better as 4-3, so I would recommend a 3-4 team not taking him. Does Noah Fant go first round? Yeah. Some people are extremely high on him. I'm not that high. Lower part of the first round for me. Top 3 defensive linemen. It's we got Quinnen Williams as my number 1 player. We got Ed Oliver and Christian Wilkins and Dexter Lawrence are right there. It's crazy that the two Clemson guys are not in the top 2. That's how good this D-line class is at the top. Dillard or Reisner for the Texans. If you have to choose between one, I'd say Dillard. I don't know if Dillard's going to be there, though. Which rookie on defense wins Rookie of the Year? It depends on which team they're on. Definitely depends on which team they're on. But before what team they're on, I think Josh Allen maybe, just because he's going to get the more production, the more stats. Quinn Williams is my number 1 guy. He's going to make the best impact, but maybe Devin White can possibly produce sacks with interceptions, something like that. I did my last 2 mocks with trades, yes, and I'm going to do another one tomorrow for you guys. One more. And I hope they're a disaster because I want madness in the draft. Do I think Rashawn Gary fits with Baltimore if he drops? I view Rashawn Gary as strictly a 4-3 end, just like I was talking about Clelin Ferrell. Baltimore runs a 3-4. But Gary's athletic enough to have the chance to step back, unlike Ferrell. But I would say he doesn't fit as good as other players. I would recommend him going to a 4-3 team, or a 4-3 team drafting him. He doesn't choose where he goes. Needs for the Bengals, linebacker, offensive line, another corner they could use, but mainly linebacker and offensive line. Rest that voice. Yeah, no, I think I'm okay. But yeah, we're going to sign off soon here. Still getting prepared. I got to get my mock draft ready for tomorrow, and I got to get prepared for the draft. Try to figure out what we're doing here exactly. Do I think the Packers can draft Drew Lock? I don't. If somehow he's there at 30, they would, but he's not going to be there. I don't think they're trying to trade out for something that's not going to help win a Super Bowl right now. Darwin Thompson thoughts. Bengals need a third running back. I think some people like Darwin Thompson a lot, but I'm more comfortable with him like 7th round. If that's what you're feeling for the Bengals, 7th round pick, then sure. Is the second tier inside linebackers really that much lower than White and Bush? Is the kid from they're that much lower, only because those two are pretty much elite prospects. Devin White's elite prospect. Bush is right there with them. The next guys are real good, high potential guys like Jermaine Pratt, Mac Wilson, Tavon Coney, Blake Cashman, Drew Tranquil. Those list of guys are pretty darn good, but they're, comparing to White and Bush is tough. There is a pretty good gap, but it's not a knock on those guys. Who do I think fits the Cardinals better, Quinnen Williams or Nick Bosa? I think Quinnen Williams. Bosa can step back and play the 3-4, which they're expected to play, but I honestly think Josh Allen fits a little better than Bosa. Quinnen Williams being my number one player, say Quinnen Williams. What do we got here? Do I think Gary can... Yeah, I think he can be a 3-technique type of guy. I really do. Or a 3-4 end. But, his athleticism, I really would like him as a 4-3 end mainly, but I do think he can make that switch. Ravens got to go receiver. I'm thinking Marquis Brown, A.J. Brown. It depends on Rashawn Gary, that injury, too. We've been talking about Rashawn Gary recently here. Depends on an injury. Like, how serious is that? Do you think the Jets will trade back? Do I think the Jets will trade back? I thought they would trade back. If they do, it can't be far. I was thinking the Giants at 6. If the Giants want to secure that quarterback, then that'll be the only shot because they don't want to miss out on a guy like, somebody in this, they mentioned trade back for Brian Burns. I can see that, actually. But do they want to miss out on a Josh Allen or Quinnen Williams? If they trade back, further than a couple spots, it could be Brian Burns, a guy like Jonah Williams, who I know they really like. They trade back pretty far, like middle of the first round, maybe like Greedy Williams. That makes sense to me. But I don't think they trade back because I think there's going to be somebody too good to pass on. If they do, it's a couple spots. Do you think the Falcons should draft, and if they should even trade up? I agree with them trading up because I think they're really, they got to stay healthy. And if they do that, there's no holes on that team except for a D tackle next to Grady Jarrett. Trade up for a guy like Ed Oliver, Christian Wilkins. But I'm also a fan of keeping the draft picks, I'm also a big fan of that. So if you stay put and Dexter Lawrence at 14, I'm liking that a lot too. So they're in a pretty good state. If they trade up for a really good defense lineman, I like it. If they stay put and get a really good defense lineman, I like it. So it's pretty hard for them to mess it up, really, in my opinion. Tavon Coney, C.J. Mosley, I like it. Actually, Coney might be better covering than C.J. Mosley, too. He actually might be better in cover. Not that he's better than C.J. Mosley, but in terms of coverage, he's probably better. I've seen him covering running backs and their wheel routes. Do you think Sweat drops to the 20s? I think he can. I'm hearing it's a real possibility. It's going to be in that 15 to 30 range, I guess. I like Sweat. Top 10 player easily for me. How important is this draft for Gettleman's job security? Well, it's very important, but it's not like he's going to get fired right away or a year later. We got to see the outcome here. So he's going to get a chance, but every draft's important, but it needs time to, you can't determine how he did after 1 year. My favorite cornerback, my number one quarterback is Greedy Williams. Favorite cornerback is it's a battle between two. Yeah, you said Sean Bunting. It's either Sean Bunting. I like Joanne Williams a lot because of his size. He's instinctive, reads quarterbacks, same time as receivers. I'm also a fan of Julian Love too. But yeah, I'd say Sean Bunting. Yeah, I would say that. He's got it all. He's played the weaker competition, but other than that, he's been very solid. All right, I'm gonna lose my voice before tomorrow's stream, so something's just popping on my screen. So I'm gonna sign off here. Any last questions before I do so? Again, big board position rankings coming out tomorrow. I'll get you guys a link so you can have that ready for the whole draft. Pretty cool, and we're gonna be live during the draft too. Hopefully, you can join us for that. Do I see New England taking a QB with pick 32? I don't think so. I think they'll be interested in Jarrett Stidham and Ryan Finley in the third or maybe the last pick in the second round. Do I think Greedy Williams tackling is an issue? I don't know if it's... He just didn't want to tackle at times. I think he can tackle. He just didn't want to. And I think we'll figure it out here in the NFL. I'm not super concerned about it. He's a freak athlete and a big-time playmaker at the same time and could use some work. A coachable work, which is a good thing that he was able to do what he did with that. Ty Summers, he's getting a lot of hype, I heard. I heard he can go like, I heard he can even go like 4th round. I'd say like 5th round, TCU linebacker. So, yeah, we'll see. He's been getting a lot of hype very recently. Some of those linebackers, there's linebackers that are pretty good sleepers down there. We'll see. We will see. About to sign off. We'll be back tomorrow live for the draft. If you were a GM, why would you spend a first-round pick on one of these receivers when there are close to 10 receivers who you could draft in the second? Yeah, that's true, but it depends on where you pick. But, yeah, if you're confident you get like a Stanley Morgan Jr. a little later, 2nd or 3rd round, then it's pretty good. It's pretty good, so I understand the point. Will the Seahawks overdraft a player? Yeah, Rashad Penny blew me away last year. Colton Miller, Rashawn Penny, almost said Gary, blew me away last year. Let's see if they do it again. Wouldn't surprise me, but we'll see. Well, I guess it would, depending on the player. But does the QB crop next year have any effect on how the QBs are drafted this year? That's a good question. That's something I don't know. I don't know how these guys think. I don't think NFL teams like to tank. If it was the NBA, yes, it would. They don't want to tank. I like Justin Herbert a lot. I like Tua too. I like Justin Herbert's potential a lot. I think it has to affect it a little bit. It definitely affects the teams, that would have to trade up for these quarterbacks. Some of the teams, the mid first round to late first round. Like, let's not trade up. Let's just wait it out. If we need a quarterback next year, we can trade up then or get the guy next year. I'm not huge on Fromm, by the way. I think he's a little overrated, but he's solid, and we got another year to go here at least, so we'll see. But yeah, I think, and the way I would go about it is get the offense line, get the weapons, the offense ready for your future quarterback. So if a team looks at it that way, let's get everything ready, fill our needs now, and then get ready for the quarterback next year. I can see that. TJ Edwards, I think will go. I think it would be a solid pick in the 4th round, but I think he'll go 5th because he's a little undersized and not crazy athletic for that, but he's very instinctive, flies around, makes the plays. I think the Cardinals take Kyler Murray. Never know, though. I didn't think Baker Mayfield was going to want it this time last year, even though I loved the pick at the time. See if they trade back or take somebody different. I hope so. I want madness. Do I think the Seahawks actually pick twice in the 1st round? That's a good question. I say yeah, but I say they trade too, probably. What about Trey Lamar? Mid-round guy. He dropped a little bit. I think 4th round. Dropped a little bit because of the lack of athleticism, but tackling machine. Not going to miss much tackles. Do the Bucs take Ed Oliver or Devin White? I think they would choose Devin White, but hard to pass on Oliver at the same time. All right, that's going to do it. Before I lose my voice, tomorrow, live stream, NFL Draft. It's on the screen right now, right by me. We're going to be live with the other guys, breaking down, predicting each pick, breaking it down, reactions, analysis, winners and losers at the end of the day. We have videos throughout the draft. We're covering it on Twitter throughout the draft as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's my favorite day of the year. I know, much like you guys out there. So hopefully you can join us for that. Big board position rankings coming out tomorrow. Very useful 2 links I will get you guys on Twitter, and I'll make a post here on YouTube as well. I also did a segment for a news/radio show covering the Ravens and the Eagles. That will be out tomorrow. So lots of big things going on. I really enjoy answering you guys. An hour and 43 minutes. Really enjoyed doing this. Really enjoyed answering you guys' questions. Thanks, everyone. Christmas time tomorrow. That is true. I call it Christmas all the time, too. There's our subscriber goal, too. We got 20K. There's our Twitter in the bottom right. Link in the description as well. Like button, notification button, all that. Much appreciated. Please join us tomorrow during the draft. Going to be a lot of fun. Cannot wait. That's going to do it for this one, though. Thanks, everybody. Goodbye.